Hey there, Mr. Witherow. All right, continuing with the exponent rules. Just again, a couple of things to keep in mind. Coefficient is the big number, base, in this instance, is the x, and the exponent is the 2, which I refer to as little. So big, little, and then every number and variable has an exponent. So if you don't see one, it is one. And this is important when on this new little rule. Today's rule, or this rule, is going to be power rule. So the power rule basically tells us to multiply the exponents. So we're going to multiply the little numbers or distribute it. So if we take a look at these problems, again, the key here, if you don't see one, it is one, right? If you don't see one, meaning if you don't see an exponent, then the exponent is 1. Then it is 1. All right? So the C has an exponent of 1. We have to be able to see that. So if we're going to multiply the exponents, basically you're going to distribute. You're going to distribute the 2 to there and to here. So 1 times 2 is 2, and 3 times 2 is 6. And then you move on. This problem right here is most commonly missed. Most kids will miss this because they forget that the 2 has an exponent of 1. The y has an exponent of 1. Now, most kids will go ahead and distribute it to the variables, but they'll forget about this over here. They'll forget about the coefficient, and you have to remember that. So then when we distribute, then we have 2 to the 5th, x to the 10th, y to the 5th. And then your teacher probably will want you to break down 2 to the 5th. So then just go through it, either get your calculator or use your fingers. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16, times 2 is 32. So this is 32x to the 10th, y to the 5th. So make sure you understand what the teacher is asking for if you have to go all the way to here. Again, the biggest thing that you have to remember is that the coefficient has an exponent of 1, so it has to distribute. We can see that a little bit better on the problem like this. So we got negative 5x to the 3rd, y to the 4th squared. Really what this tells us, right, another way to think of it is, now we can go ahead and distribute this. Remember the negative 5 has a 1, so we distribute here. The other way you can think of it is like this. Remember that square just means that we're going to multiply it by itself. I forgot the 4 there, sorry. And then negative 5x to the 3rd, y to the 4th. Remember that we're going to have this 2 times. The square means that we're going to copy this down twice. So now you can see negative 5 times negative 5. All right? So that's another big thing to remember here, is that also when we have a negative and it's an even number, it's going to turn into positive. So if we distribute this, and sometimes you're going to look at it and go like this, okay, I want negative 5 squared, and then x to the 6th, y to the 8th, right? So negative 5, and I put this in parentheses because you got to make sure that you do this. Put in parentheses, and make sure that you put it in parentheses on your calculator too. And then this becomes 25 x to the 6th, y to the 8th. All right? So with the power rule, we're going to multiply the little numbers. That's what we're going to do. All right.